Hello everyone, good evening. Welcome to our American online classroom. Actually, this video is intended for last week meeting. Since I got lots of things to do, so I couldn't make it as soon as possible. Therefore, I want to make a video for last week's, and today we'll be talking about the modern times in the USA. So if we are talking about modern times in USA, um, it is very interesting because previously we have talked about industrialization in the USA, and then we have had discussed about the civil war in the USA. Now it's time for us to see how a nation called United States of America had an opportunity to be one of the superpowers in the world, not only in the America region but also in the world. And this nation called United States of America had contributed many aspects into many countries, in many countries as well. So because of this modern times era, there were so many turbulences, there were so many crises, there were so many wars, that American decided to involve uh, in those vicious turbulences. So first of all, if we're talking about the modern times, we'll be talking about how United States of America, uh, the role of United States of America in World War II. So in World War II, that means it was happening after 1940 or 1930s, right? So in the modern times, United States of America had been so much involved in assisting conflicted areas, countries such as South Korea and then South Vietnam at the time. So if you remember, there was a movie called Rambo. Yeah, Rambo is actually a very famous movie inspired by what was happening in 1960s when United States of America assisted South Vietnam against North Vietnam, because at that time South Vietnam uh, against anti-communism, because North Vietnam was actually assisted by Russia and then China. So United States of America decided to help South Vietnam, to give them military assistance, to support their military, and to support South Vietnam to win the war. But eventually, actually, I think you heard this many times that Vietnam actually um, was able to beat United States of America. And there was also a war in the Korean Peninsula. I think for those of you who like Korean drama, you also understand about this, that before uh, there was North Korea and South Korea, these two Korean nation was actually one nation. So in the 1947 or 1940s, there was a conflict between these two countries because these two nations, until now, they have different ideologies, because the North Korea until now is adapting the communism or socialism, while South Korea is using capitalism and liberalism, just like United States of America. Therefore, United States of America decided to support South Korea against North Korea, which at the time assisted by China and Russia. So it is very interesting to see how this involvement of United States of America could actually change many landscape of political changes, socio-political, cultural, and many realms in not only in the United States of America but also in the countries where uh, it assisted. So, for instance, when United States of America decided to support Vietnam in Vietnam War, at that time, Vietnam was belonged to the French. So Vietnam at that time under the colonization of French. But because of there was different ideology between the North Vietnam and South Vietnam, I told you earlier that United States of America assisted South Vietnam to defend their ideology because they had the same ideologies with the United States of America, which is capitalism and liberalism. And this has caused this has caused many unfavored things in the United States itself, because when the government decided to help other nation in a war, the point or the most important thing is actually the government takes money from the people and then uses that money to support the military. So that was what happened in the United States of America. Actually, people did not disagree with what the president at the time, Reagan, decided to support the South Vietnam, because they felt, what was the point to be involved in war just because we have the same ideologies? Then we have to spend $1 million to be in war, and the point is that was not our wars. You know what I mean, right? It was just like when Indonesia wants to involve war with China to defend, let's say, Malaysia or the Philippines in South China Sea. That's what was happening in the United States of America. So people were actually complaining about this kind of situation. Why the president decided to spend a lot of money in war to help one nation, and what was actually the benefit that USA got at that time, besides the acknowledgement that USA is a superpower country. So because of this event, American felt that there was stagnancy in terms of economy, because USA used lots of money. USA had undergone many situations where they had to spend lots of money for the military assistance. And of course, because of this, there was also a depression or economic turmoil, economic depression happened in the United States of America. And since then, the United States, I think, have never learned about this kind of situation, right? Because up until last decades, we know that American was involved in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Middle East countries, those countries who are having problems internally, and American decided to take over the political system in Iran as well, where they believe Iran is nurturing the nuclear weapon, and they decided to do the embargo to Iran and this kind of thing. In Iraq also, United States of America supported to topple down at the time Saddam Hussein as one of the notorious dictator leader in Iraq. So this kind of things, and until now, they still have this kind of, let's say, maybe it is a pride, or I don't know whether it is their own pride or whether it is coming from their genuine heart to help, or they have any other intention. We never know, because actually it is maybe it is written in their constitutional laws to help other peoples which is involved in wars, or to help other nation which was involved in wars. We never know about that. But the thing that you have to bear in mind, the thing that you have to underline, in the modern times, United States of America started its position in geopolitical as one of the superpower countries who always supports nation at war. Right. So, um, this kind of intervention has made United States of America, or people dub United States of America as the police of the world. Jadi seperti polisi dunia karena dia suka mengintervensi uh, masalah orang lain. Entah itu kewajiban atau entah mereka hanya punya kepentingan lain atau emang benar-benar ingin membantu dari lubuk hati pemimpin mereka yang paling dalam. Let's say they just couldn't see people were killed and so on and so forth. We never know. But up until now, United States of America are still having many armies in conflicted or in war zone countries, particularly in the Middle East. And then when we talk about modern times, we we must also talk about the period of history in the United States of America where USA was able to land the first human on Earth. Sorry, on Moon. So it was a huge success at that time. It was like a quantum leap for human being to be able to move from Earth to the moon with this kind of space technology. Can you imagine in 1960s American has established the space station, and they had been building their own spaceships and so on and so forth. They created or they established NASA. You know NASA, right? And this kind of thing is one of the quantum leaps, or in the history of America, as one of the best times when America trajectory its power through spaceship battles. What I mean as spaceship battles, at that time, they were also competing with other nations. At the time, there was still a country called Uni-Soviet. Uni-Soviet now is Russia. And then Uni-Soviet at that time was also doing this kind of space exploration, and they were sort of competing with United States of America to be the first nation to be able to travel the moon or even land on the moon. So this kind of space wars or technological wars, giving the status to USA and Vietnam as countries, as the two countries with two different ideologies, as we know that um, Russia or Uni-Soviet at the time were up until now is a socialist country, where USA is a capitalist country. So these two ideologies, they were competing each other in terms of technologies. Fortunately, yeah, the United States of America sent its first satellite in space in 1958, and by 1969, the first American stepped into the moon. And since then, the whole world has been using satellites from the USA and other space technology for communication, weather forecasting, and telecommunication, and science, and many other sectors. So basically, United States of America could be dubbed or could be named as one of the first nation on Earth that was able to explore and to develop a high level of technological devices in terms of space explorations. But even though they had been very successful in developing the space explorations, making or establish spaceships, but in the 1950s or in the 1960s, USA, particularly the black community or black society in the USA, they had been still experiencing what we call as intolerance, or what we call as injustice toward those colored people. I said colored people because it's not only black people but also people who migrated from Mexico, let's say, or from China, or any other part of the world in the USA. So even though they were very excellent, they were very advanced in that time in the 1960s, but this kind of primitive point of view toward other races were still there. Even though up until now, if you are, watching TVs, if you watch TV, and then you notice that there were so many movement lately about Black Lives Matters. I think you know already about Black Lives Matters campaign, because this thing has been uh, has become part of American intolerance culture. Yeah, I can say that it's kind of culture where the white people in the USA feel that the black people are not in the same level with them. They are different. Even though those black people are American citizens, they still believe that they are not deserved to be in the United States of America, and they should go home to their great great grandfather's homeland in Africa. So this kind of, I say, inhuman thoughts or inhuman point of view about how they see people with color are still exist today in the United States of America. Even in 1957, the President uh, Eisenhower, yeah, forced all white university to accept black students. Okay, if you have watched a documentary movie about Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama was the first lady, the 44th first lady. She is the wife of Barack Obama. In that documentary movie, I watched that in Netflix. She went to Princeton University. So Princeton University is one of the Ivy League universities in the United States of America. So it is a very prestigious and one of the best school in United States of America. And in that documentary movie, Michelle Obama mentioned about racial intolerance, racial slurs toward herself, because when she had one of the roomies, and her roomies was white students, and her roomies was forced by the parents to move to another rooms because they thought that Michelle Obama with her black color could endanger their daughters. Unimaginable, right? So it is also unbelievable. A very advanced, a very sophisticated country in terms of technology, like United States of America, in 1960s could have that kind of interactions in the university. So you should remember that President Eisenhower in 1957 forced, you have to underline, forced every university to accept black students. That means, having said that, before 1957, there were no black students have been ever accepted in American universities. Okay? So this kind of thing was very interesting to be discussed actually, and later we will be discussing about this kind of racial dreams and racial interaction between the um, white and black societies in the United States of America. And we also be talking about American dreams tomorrow morning in Google Meet. Okay, so thank you so much for today. I hope you got something from our online lecturing today. Actually, I recorded it and I will upload it on YouTube platform. And please do your assignment, open your book, your module, page 74, and do practice B and C. Okay, I think that's all for tonight. Thank you for participating or joining or watching this video. I hope you enjoy this. Okay, see you when I see you tomorrow on Google Meet. Bye.